Hi, everyone. Glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, guiding you through the trails of Glacier National Park. And we just got into the studio from hiking last week, I guess. It feels like we just came off the trail, and we experienced a terrific hike that is off of the Highline Trail. Everybody wants to do it. Everybody's got to do it. It's a busy trail, but it's one of the best in Glacier. And today, from that trail, is kind of an add-on that is spectacular, the Grinnell Glacier Overlook. And, I was exaggerating. We just got off the trail. I'm still sweating and dusty. We didn't, but we did this enough that, last weekend when my brother was visiting, we took him up there. I mean, you have to prepare a little bit because the Highline Trail, as I mentioned, is busy. Everybody wants to do it, but it's kind of exciting in that sense, too. Everybody's like, what are you doing? Riding the shuttle up. I'm hiking the Highline Trail. What are you doing? I'm going to do the Highline. Some people are doing it backwards. You've got to hike it. And we've got a separate episode show out there detailing the Highline Trail if you want to check that out. But this is an extra add-on, and it's totally worth it. Sarah, we were traveling the Highline. It was a hot day. And when you get to, it's funny because it's a little spur trail off the Highline. If you're traveling from Logan Pass to Granite Park Chalet and down, it's almost all the way to the chalet. It's about 6.5 miles out. And you get to the bottom of it. I love it because you get to the bottom of the spur trail, which is just under a mile and more than 1,000 feet of elevation gain. And if you've been listening to us enough, you know that 1 mile distance and 1,000 feet elevation gain is a gold standard. It's some of the steepest terrain in Glacier Park as far as named and,
trails.
Hiking trails.
Right.
And so this is even steeper than that. So be ready. But it's funny, I was thinking about at the bottom. So you're hiking the Highline Trail, and all of a sudden there's a sign and there's a stopping point. And some people are traveling up. It makes me think like Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or something. All the little people headed up the mountain. There's no soundtrack, but it seems like there would almost be some music in the background, some sort of John Williams score as the little ants, crawl up the steep trail. But it's funny because everybody stops at it and looks at each other and says, should we? What do you think? Can we? Should we do this? And we see.
Yes, you should.
It's always a yes. It's always go. You'll never regret that. I mean, you'll be tired either way. You'll be kind of worn out either way if you hike the 11.5 miles of the Highline Trail. So why not add on an extra 1.6 as it lists it up and down?
And I would say that spur trail, the first 3/4 are your steepest. Otherwise, it almost doesn't quite level out, but it's easier to traverse. It's less steep.
Yeah,
that last
sort of level off as you get to the opening in the garden wall. But we even saw parties split up. Some people are up for it and have the energy and the gas in the tank. But once in a while, somebody goes and somebody doesn't. And also people give up halfway. But you can do it. You should do it. You will do it. Always go. The Grinnell Glacier Overlook spur trail off of the Highline. So, the way to get there, Logan Pass is generally the starting point, and there's even a nice big sign across from the parking lot, the Highline Trail. You can head out and end up at Granite Park Chalet, come down to the loop. It's kind of it's a one-way, so you've got to think logistics. And then this year, at the recording of this episode, there's a lot to consider in terms of a shuttle, the shuttle system, getting you to Logan Pass from either Apgar Visitor Center or Lake McDonald and getting you down from the loop when you're finished. It worked well for us. We'll compliment even the Park Service in terms of that seems to be working. There are other things that can still be piloted that might even be better or might be a good combination. But this time we took the shuttle and check it out and learn all the stops and all the ways that it goes up and where it drops, the express shuttle to Logan, and that's where you're going to start this hike. So as we mentioned, the whole Highline Trail is 11.5 miles, and at about the 6.5 mile marker, this trail appears, and it kind of heads up and back to a break in the garden wall. You've already seen and looked at Gem Glacier, the just little corner of Gem Glacier for a while. But once you get up to the garden wall, you're overlooking the Many Glacier Valley. So Sarah, you're overlooking Grinnell Glacier, and there's some terrific glacial features. The garden wall in itself, which we'll kind of explain more, is such a natural wonder that it's cool to get right to the top of that. But Sarah, it's what kind of feature is this we're looking at? It's a rock feature that's somewhat unique.
Yeah, Grinnell Glacier. Well, any of the glaciers in the park are pretty awesome. I mean, it's kind of a spiritual experience for me when you are up close and personal with a glacier. And with this, you're actually looking above it, and Gem is directly in front of you at eye level, and then you have Salamander Glacier down there too. It all used to be one mass of a glacier, and back in the 1920s during the warming trend, a couple of our big glaciers actually separated, and Grinnell was one of them. Salamander separated from Grinnell. But you can see all three. They're kind of in this cirque area, and you have Upper Grinnell Lake where it's melting, where the glacier has melted and formed this upper alpine cirque lake there. But I love this view because on a bright sunny day, even when it's not sunny, but the turquoise color gets more vibrant with the sunny days. And, you know, you often see wildlife while you're up there. You see the small critters like the golden mantle ground squirrel. You see the marmots. We happened to come across a nanny and a kid goat, mountain goat, which was pretty awesome. And we've done this trail many times. We've seen bighorn sheep, you know, the ram herd. The boys, they kind of hang around their bachelor herd or whatever. We didn't see bighorn sheep this time, but there's a high probability of seeing lots of wildlife. You know, this trail is active, you know, the Highline Trail active with bear activity too. So make sure you're always bear aware.
Yeah, for sure. I can't even count the number of marmots that scurried along the trail, led us along the trail, popped their little heads out from the side of the trail. So wildlife abounds. What a terrific hiking trail. Splendid views opening up the entire way. But at this point, you're headed up to the Continental Divide and looking over into the Many Glacier Valley. And as Sarah mentioned, the lakes are just beautiful. They're spectacular because they've got a lot of the lakes in Glacier Park have the glacial silt that is suspended in the water that gives it that turquoise color, and none greater than where a glacier is actually forming and melting.
The closer you get, the more prominent. And the garden wall itself is an arête, and that is where two glaciers, one on one side of the mountain, one on the other, have worked away and ground at it. And that's why we have that razor edge wall there, the garden wall.
A sharp knife ridge. In fact, up in the Kintla-Bowman area, there's a couple of mountains that bear that name. But yeah, it's looking at it from a distance, it looks like an intense, sharp ridge. But of course, once you get a little closer, there's room to walk. There's room to be comfortable.
Yeah, so you're on top of it when you're looking down, and it's really cool. And there's a lot of alpine flowers, which makes for a beautiful picture in the foreground of this turquoise lake and the glacier behind you. And I really love it up there. I love seeing the wildlife as well. But just, you know, you can look left into Many Glacier, you can look right and look down on McDonald Creek, and you can see as far as McDonald as well. And the beautiful U-shaped valleys that these huge glaciers had come through and carved what is Glacier Park. So I love being up high in the alpine level of Glacier. It's one of my favorites.
I've learned so much from you with the way that valleys are shaped and formed, because you've said it, a glacier forms a U-shaped valley. So it's a big scoop out of the landscape. And a river forms a V-shaped valley.
Correct.
And so at the McDonald Creek area, you've got kind of both at work, and it just lays out before you. And if you understand the history of how some of this landscape was formed, it just adds to the enjoyment, the pleasure of it. So you're reaching this point, you know, a natural saddle along the Continental Divide. This is some place that early surveyors and guides used as a route to cross over into Many Glacier from the west side to the east side of the park. And it's a great place to visit. It's a great place to enjoy yourself. You know, it's a perfect break in that hike. It's if you're hiking the whole thing with the spur, it's about halfway. And so you come over that edge, and it's just your breath, you know, is taken away.
How long does it take you, would you say, to get up the spur trail? If you decide to do it, how much time is that going to add to your Highline hike?
Yeah, I would allow at least 40 minutes, 45 minutes. So up and down, hour and a half. You know, it makes a difference. Yep. And with the shuttle times, make sure you're aware of when they go and when they come and when to catch it to get back down to your car or back up to your car at Logan Pass, sorry. But we're going to talk about, Sarah, a little bit about the glacier itself. And I mean, it's the namesake, Glacier National Park. So what is a glacier? What determines a glacier? This one was named for George Bird Grinnell, a pioneer in this area. And we have a lot more to say about this trail because it just encompasses so much of what Glacier is. We're going to take a short break, but stick with us. We've got another segment coming right up.
Whether you're hiking Avalanche Lake or conquering Mount Saï, you want to be prepared. Same goes for your money. Freedom Bank delivers peak performance banking with mobile tools, expert advice, and a personal touch. Freedom Bank is proud sponsor of Hiking Fools because adventures are better when your bank is as ready as you are. Freedom Bank, we want to be your bank. Give us a call at 892-1776. Member FDIC.
For everything summer in Montana, think Snappy's. Snappy Sports Center is not only your fishing and hunting headquarters, they're also stocked with hiking boots, backpacks, camping gear, bear spray, and outdoor clothing for the whole family. Located on the corner of Highways 2 and 35 on your way to Glacier Park and away from the traffic on Highway 93. Forgot something? They probably have it. Need something? They definitely have it. Skip the traffic and stock up on adventure with Snappy Sports Center, a store like no other since 1947.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. We are the Hiking Fools, and today we're taking you up high onto the Grinnell Glacier Overlook off of the Highline Trail. And you walk by a couple of features on the way. We'll get to those. We've described what else you'll see. But at the break, Sarah, we were just talking about getting up and over onto the arête, the glacier, overlooking the cirque where Grinnell Glacier is. And let's not take it for granted. Glacier, what is a glacier? What determines a glacier? There's you're overlooking this beautiful mass of snow and ice, and you may not even be aware of why it's called a glacier.
Yeah, there's a few characteristics that make a glacier a glacier. First of all, it's got to be the right size. It's got to be at least 25 acres, and it's dense, compacted snow and ice over thousands of years that have just layered up, and it's heavy and it's compacted. Like I said, it's got a combination of, rock and even some sediment in there. Mm-hmm. And it's got to be so heavy and so thick that it's moving. So I would say it needs those characteristics, but the most important thing it has to do is move.
Yeah, under its own weight, right? I mean, it can't be a force of anything else. So it's a huge mass, and you will see this the way the way that the valleys are carved. What remains of the glaciers? You have to also imagine these things huge coming through, carving this landscape, and what we see now is what remains. And as you mentioned, it picks up some things along the way as it travels, but so it's a certain size and it moves under its own weight. We used to hear an inch a year. I don't think that's technical. I think that's something to consider. But as far as we know,
it kind of depends on, I think, the size of the glacier, how much it's going to move per year, just as long as it is, in fact, moving. Yeah. And it needs to be about 45 to 90 feet thick or 50 to 100 feet thick for it to have enough pressure for it to move. And that melting water underneath kind of helps with that lubrication of the movement.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a glacier, a massive snow and ice moving under its own weight and a certain area and a certain thickness, and they are intimidating. And and let's say it, you've got to be very, very careful exploring near a glacier, on a glacier. Sometimes you're walking over the top of.
Yeah, it is not advised anywhere in the park that you traverse a glacier. So just know that. I know if you hike up to Grinnell Glacier from any glacier valley, you can hike over to the glacier when it's safe. Mm-hmm. They don't want you doing that. There's a sign, in fact. But I know some people do it. It's just go up to it, touch it.
As you said, it attracts you, it draws you.
Yes.
You feel a sense of awe when you're that close.
It's not advised. It's very, very dangerous. So
sure.
It's definitely something you probably shouldn't do. But Grinnell Glacier specifically is an alpine glacier or a cirque glacier. And when you're up there and you're looking down that cirque, that bowl-shaped formation, you can tell where that glacier was, in fact, encompassing, that entire section there. And now it's a lot smaller. In fact, the first time I saw Grinnell Glacier was back in 2004, and it has receded so much since then. It's kind of sad. But it has revealed some pretty cool features. If you hike down there, you can see a lot of evidence from the glacier scraping through, and it is kind of cool to stand there and you can hear the glacier calving and stuff. But from up above, you can see the crevasses, and the crevasses are formed by the movement of the glacier, and it makes kind of that turquoisey, icy color.
It's breaking and creaking and melting.
Yeah.
And you said calving. What is that?
Calving just means like the chunks of the glacial ice breaking off and falling into Upper Grinnell Lake.
Okay.
Yep. And then Grinnell Glacier sits at about 7,000 feet. So you're a couple thousand feet above that even, looking down on it. And it's stunning. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's right on the back of Mount Gould there is where it sits. So
that's another excellent view. Not totally advised, but off trail, if you're going to climb and summit Mount Gould. It sits right above Grinnell Glacier and offers a terrific perspective. Sarah, on her 40th birthday with our good friend Alicia, we were on the top of that and just have some terrific photos. But there's, glaciers friendly for climbing in certain areas.
Anything on the Continental Divide is pretty awesome, and that's where you are here too.
So it's got a name, and a lot of people have heard that, and they always hear it, Grinnell Glacier. This is the Grinnell Glacier Overlook. George Bird Grinnell?
Yeah. Oh, man. He's one of my favorites.
Love him. Gotta love him.
I love history. George Bird Grinnell, you will hear his name a lot if you come to Glacier Park or research coming to Glacier, because there's a few things named after him, in fact. So he was a conservationist, he was an explorer, he was a writer. In the late 1800s, he came to Glacier and he did some hunting. He became friends with the Blackfeet, immersed himself in the culture, even learned the language. And he played a huge role in establishing this as a national park. Him and Lewis W. Hill, which was a part of the Great Northern Railroad, they lobbied for a long time, for years and years, pushing to make this a park. And George Bird Grinnell even wrote in Field and Stream magazine, which he eventually became the owner of, and he was the chief editor of. He used that platform to talk about conservation and also protecting this landscape. So he played a huge role. He was also the founder of the Audubon Society, and he was co-founder of the Boone and Crockett Club with Theodore Roosevelt. But he relentlessly wrote about his exploration and the beauty of what is now Glacier National Park.
What a great guy. As you mentioned, we appreciate it. And now we've got Grinnell all over the park. He had a glacier named after him. So that's pretty cool.
Well, he really loved to explore this glacier, and he photographed this glacier way back as 1887. And there's two mountains in the Many Glacier Valley named after him, Grinnell Point and Mount Grinnell, and that's all in kind of the same vicinity. So he loved the Many Glacier Valley, and he explored it frequently, and there's pictures of him up near the glacier even.
And there's other great resources. A book called Grinnell, a couple of other books that you've read, has some of his journal entries and things like that. So check out all the resources on George Bird Grinnell, adding to your appreciation of this park and even specifically this hike.
And I just want to nerd out a little bit on some geology beyond the glacier itself, because I think this is a great spot to see things like the diorite sill. And if you're coming up from the Many Glacier Valley, viewing, Mount Gould and where Grinnell Glacier is, you can see it. You can even see it from the Grinnell Glacier Spur Trail. So it's the diorite sill. You'll see this black band that's high up on the mountain, and then you'll see two white strips above and below, and that's called the diorite sill. It's about 100 feet thick, and this diorite sill runs for more than 50 miles in the park, so you can see it in various places. But I feel like you can really see it here, and I love seeing it because it's so old and it's a part of history and the making of the park. They think it occurred 750 million years ago, and obviously there's debate with years and stuff, dates, but it's that black basalt rock basically is what it is.
You'll see it from anywhere. You'll see it from anywhere in the park, and this area stands out. This is again, we could say so much more. Sarah was really hoping to. We just ran out of time. But what a great trail. The Grinnell Glacier Overlook, a spur trail off of the Highline Trail. You can even stop off at Haystack Butte, 7,500 feet, a little stop off summit. Check out Blake Passmore's books to figure out a little bit of a route for there. But this is an always go. Plan an extra 1.5 hours. It's a little under a mile, a little over 1,000 feet. Highline plus the Grinnell Glacier Overlook Spur Trail. What a story to tell. Well, check out our Instagram page at Hiking Fools MT to see some great photos from our recent adventures. And tune in next time. Check out more of our episodes. And remember to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, encouraging you to always go.